Welcome to the Redeeming Myself Spinosaurus segment. I know I've technically talked about this on multiple occasions, but this is the video where I want to put the argument to rest so there aren't any more questions about why I like it more than the T-Rex. First and foremost, I would like to say this is strictly my opinion. I am not here to change any of your opinions, nor am I here to say people who like the T-Rex are idiots, because they are not. I like it too. The reason why I like the Spinosaurus, the main reason, is because it was a brand new feature to the Jurassic Park films at the time, as well as a risk to make. It was something that caught my attention and scared the crap out of me when I first saw it. Why and how did it scare me? Because I was about 10 years old when I first saw it, and I didn't know the Lost World existed, so I didn't know how quote-unquote scary Jurassic Park films could be. But as I grew older, I didn't find it scary as much as I found it awesome! With a couple of things that held back its potential. I could be wrong, but there also seems to be this misconception that I hate the T-Rex, but I literally spent 2 minutes praising the T-Rex for something and bashing the Spinosaurus for that same thing. I talked about it in part 1 of this Redeeming Myself. But to show you that I'm not biased towards the thing, 100% biased anyway, for those who hate the Spinosaurus, I'll side with you for a little bit and bash it as much as possible. So, here we go. First off, I do not like the reveal at all. Again, part 1, Redeeming Myself, already talked about it in better detail, but I'll go over it again, but more briefly. I'll give it a little bit, maybe 9% credit for the fact that it was a different kind of reveal to the main predator that the other films didn't do. But I hate jump scares. And if you're gonna try to introduce the audience to a new dinosaur, you may want to leave them in a state of shock and awe, not leave them confused as to what they just saw for 3 minutes before giving them a better look. It blows its trump card in the very first scene it's in, since it already kills off a quarter of the cast and kills a T-Rex. I don't even like the Spino versus Rex fight, which I'll admit I probably should have talked about it a little bit more instead of glancing over it and saying it was a little underwhelming. First off, there is no music, so it's kind of boring, and it lasts about 30 seconds, maybe even less, so even this scene is a little glanced over. Now, here's what I've always thought should have happened. I think it would have been cooler, although more expensive, if both Rexy and Spiny were hunting the human characters kind of at the same time. Not as like a tag team or anything, but I mean having them attack the humans on separate occasions throughout the film, so that neither of them die, so both Rexy and Spino fans can get their dose of awesomeness without there being such brutal hate. But if you really want to show these two predators fight, save that for the last Spinosaurus scene. Don't make it in the first one. I said in the review that the second Spinosaurus scene felt awkward, and it still does. It's not exactly scary at this point because we got Grant and Eric on the side of the fence that the Spinosaurus is on. AKA we got the main character and a kid character. And in Jurassic Park rules, you can't kill those two character types off. And there is a damn frog just hopping about on my window and it's annoying the out of me. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fence, we got Eric's parents who just reunited with him, so it would be too soon to kill either of them off. And you can't kill Billy because Grant still doesn't know about the eggs he took, and we need to see that bit of drama, even if we don't want to. Again, they try to jump scare you here. Just listen to that sound effect that plays once the camera switches shots. It just sucks to say that this scene only exists as a reminder that the Spinosaurus is still in the movie. And that shouldn't be the case. Even the second T-Rex scene in the first movie didn't feel like a reminder. It was just a T-Rex doing what it does best, hunting things. And that is probably one of the biggest flaws with the Spinosaurus versus the T-Rex. The T-Rex was designed as an animal. It hunts. It just looks for things that move and are alive and it just wants to eat them. Meanwhile, the Spinosaurus just kind of feels like a serial killer. I know there's supposed to be this sense of danger that you don't know where it's at and when it could show up, but there's an approximate 28-minute gap in between its triumphant roar and the moment it appears here. Taking into account that this movie is just barely an hour and a half long, that is a long time to wait. If this movie was around the 2.5-hour mark like literally the other 3 films are, then this probably wouldn't have been as big of a problem. There's technically nothing wrong with its last scene, but it's a matter of it's not gonna do a whole lot, because the rest of the characters just can't die. I honestly think I bashed the thing more here than I did in my actual review, but even with that, my opinion doesn't change. It still looks awesome, and I appreciate Johnston's risk at bringing a new dinosaur into the mix, even though his overall direction of the film could have been better. People have and will probably continue to ask me why I like the Spinosaurus, and with that, I have to ask, why do people hate it so much? Why do they care so much about this T-Rex, seeing how it's not the one people grew up with in the first film? Probably because, as odd as it can sound, the T-Rex for most people is a childhood icon, no matter where or how you see it. Nearly every single movie that features dinosaurs, and nearly every single TV show that has an episode featuring dinosaurs, has a T-Rex in it. The Land Before Time's villain was a T-Rex. There was a sitcom called Dinosaurs where the dad of the show is a T-Rex. King Kong, a movie about a supernatural giant gorilla, has T-Rexes in it. There's an episode or two of Jimmy Neutron where they get sent to a dinosaur period where one of their main obstacles is a T-Rex. Scooby-Doo in the Cyber Chase, level 3 is a dinosaur level, and what are 2 of the dinosaurs they come across? Oh hey, there's a pterodactyl, but oh yeah, a T-Rex! Even Toy Story, a movie that isn't even about dinosaurs, has a T-Rex in it! You starting to see another reason why I like the Spinosaurus? The Rex, as much as I hate to say it, is overdone. They may be awesome in anything that they're in, but the idea of T-Rexes at least trying to be a main predator just gets stale to me after a while. Keep in mind, I said get stale to me after a while. I dislike all of the Land Before Time sequels compared to the first, but even I can give them the smallest dose of credit for featuring different predators like raptors, a megalodon, Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus, Allosaurus, and so much more. Look, you'll never hear me say legitimately that the T-Rex is a terrible dinosaur, nor will you ever hear me in the future say that I wished it was a different large predator in the first film. If it was not in the first film, it wouldn't have had its charm that nearly the entire world can appreciate. It is pretty much the thing that revolutionized filmmaking and proved that you can come up with any idea and put it on the big screen. Even in my Lost World review, I never once said I hated the T-Rex, even though I sounded frustrated. It was just the fact that you see it so much in the time span of 2 movies that there's almost no sense of amazement if it's gonna stay in the film for the last half of the duration minus the raptor scenes. This may be a weird analogy to use, but I see the T-Rex as the Mario 2D side-scrolling games and the Spinosaurus as the 3D Mario games. The 2D games are the ones most kids grew up with, so naturally they'll be more attached and will want more of the side-scrolling games. Therefore, having those be the highest selling or most popular. But then you get into the 3D Mario games. The games that bring something new to the gameplay that kids growing up with side-scrollers aren't used to seeing. And coincidentally enough, I prefer the 3D games over the side-scrolling ones. The 3D games give many opportunities to be unique and creative, but they generally get outshined by the popularity of the classic formula. For many, they see the 2D side-scrolling Mario games, or the T-Rex in this case, as the classic that doesn't need to change. But then you got the smaller handful of people who would like to see something new, the Spinosaurus in this case, to amp up what the original did, but not replace it altogether. I know the fight scene kind of neglects what I just said, but the film didn't say you must like the Spinosaurus now. It was just showing the strength a Spinosaurus could have. It's not meant to replace the T-Rex, nothing ever could, but the film needs to show how strong the Spinosaurus is to show that it's not gonna mess around. I honestly think Lost World kind of screwed the rest of the series because of how many Rexes we see in just 2 films. I mean, think about it. People hate the Spinosaurus because it killed a T-Rex, but what if the Rex wasn't in it? If it's not in the film, it can't be killed off, right? See, most people would probably still hate the movie because we're so used to seeing the T-Rex that having a new super predator with no T-Rex would really leave people thinking they're being forced to like a new dinosaur they didn't grow up with. There's really no two ways around it. If you have a new large predator in a Jurassic Park film, the T-Rex must be included and you are never allowed to kill it. You think Jurassic World would have been liked as much as it was when it was first released if the Indominus Rex actually killed the T-Rex? That would be a hell no, because this is the T-Rex everyone grew up with in the first film. You kill this one off, no one will ever watch another Jurassic Park movie ever again. In other words, the filmmakers cannot get too creative with the predators they have in the new films, because in the end, it will have to have the T-Rex and it will not be allowed to die. And keep in mind, I'm not trying to say I want the T-Rex to die, but what I am saying is I like to see new dinosaurs in these films, which Jurassic Park 3 has. I don't like seeing old dinosaurs constantly. Honestly, if Jurassic Park 3 just had a T-Rex, or even the T-Rexes from the second movie, as the main predator or predators again, with nothing new, I probably would have been bored with it. Would have still liked it, but not as much as I personally do currently. Being that these are films featuring dinosaurs and there are so many to choose from, I just personally find it uncreative when they have to show the exact same ones every time and have newer dinosaurs in most cases just be cameos or whatever. You know, being introduced and killed in the exact same movie. There are many great super predators to choose from in history, and I would love to just see more of them featured on the big screen. It's not like the Jurassic Park films don't make money, so they're clearly able to. For me, as long as there's a new predator standing along with the T-Rex, it is worth the money. Well, I think I've just about exhausted every last explanation as to why the Spinosaurus is still my favorite dinosaur in the franchise. I know technically now we have the Indominus Rex, but I'll go more about that at a different time. Currently, as I record this, there is a bit of information about Jurassic World 2 coming out, and we know nothing else about it. All I can say is, I really hope it has a brand new predator we have never seen before. If it's large, fantastic. If it's small, I'll live with it. Let's just hope we see more creative dinosaur usage in the future. But to those who really didn't like my opinion before, I really hope this video at least showed you as to why I do. But I think I've wasted enough time here. I'm under the gun of parlay right now and I have to go see the captain of the ship that's just outside my house. So I'm gonna go see what that's all about, but until next time, hopefully I've redeemed myself.